Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled Happiness is All That Matters. I believe that in the end, what truly matters is your happiness. Everything we do, everything we strive for, should be guided by the goal of finding genuine joy and contentment in life. This isn't just a philosophical notion. It's a question we should be asking ourselves regularly. Can you look in the mirror at the end of the day and honestly say you're happy? If not, it might be time to explore why that is and what you can do about it. Happiness is not always a constant state, but the pursuit of it is worth the effort. Finding happiness, though, is not always easy. Sometimes we chase after things we think will make us happy, only to find that they don't. It's common to invest time and energy in goals or possessions that seem fulfilling from a distance, but fail to provide lasting joy. I remember listening to an interview with Paul Stanley, the lead singer of Kiss, on Joe Rogan's podcast. Stanley talked about how money and fame allowed him to buy many things he thought would make him happy. He realized that while some of those things were worth having, they weren't all worth keeping. That insight stuck with me because it highlights how fleeting material satisfaction can be. Stanley's experience is a reminder that happiness isn't something you can buy, even if wealth can provide comfort and security. There's no denying that financial stability helps. Being broke, unable to afford food or a place to live, can certainly make life hard. However, money alone isn't the ultimate solution. You can be incredibly wealthy and still feel empty inside. True happiness comes from within, and finding that inner peace requires more than just accumulating wealth or material possessions. A lot of people believe they'll be happy if they reach a certain milestone, getting a promotion, buying a dream car, or even finding the perfect relationship. While those things can bring temporary joy, they often aren't the foundation of lasting happiness. It's important to find a balance and understand what truly fulfills you. This self discovery is different for everyone. What makes one person happy might not work for someone else. For instance, some people find joy in playing video games, while others feel happiest hiking in nature, spending time with family, or nurturing a relationship. That individuality is what makes happiness so personal and complex. I think many people don't take the time to confront themselves with the question, am I happy? If you were to ask 10 people on the street whether they're happy, I bet at least half would say they're not. The problem isn't just that they aren't happy, it's that many of them aren't doing anything to change their situation. Complaining about unhappiness is easy. Taking steps to improve it is much harder. The truth is, happiness requires action. It means making decisions, taking risks, and sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone. If you're unhappy, you can't expect things to magically get better. You have to identify what's holding you back and work towards solutions. It might mean changing your job, reevaluating your relationships, or even redefining what happiness looks like for you. It's not always easy, and it might take time, but the effort is worth it. For me, I wouldn't say I'm unhappy. I'm at a decent level of happiness right now, though I recognize I could be happier. There are different levels of happiness, and where you stand can fluctuate depending on life circumstances. For example, something could happen tomorrow that could completely change how I feel. But for now, I'm content. I think it's important to acknowledge that happiness isn't always permanent. It's fluid and influenced by external and internal factors. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned is that you can't rely on happiness that depends on something or someone that can be taken away. If your happiness is tied to another person being there for you, what happens if they leave? If it's dependent on a job or a possession, what happens if those things are lost? You can't base your entire sense of well-being on things that are outside your control because that kind of happiness is fragile. It can vanish in an instant. Instead, it's important to build your happiness on something stable, something that comes from within. That could be a passion, a purpose, or even just a mindset that allows you to appreciate life's simple joys. When you find that, it's much harder for external events to shake your foundation. It doesn't mean you'll never feel sad or face challenges, but it does mean you'll have something solid to fall back on. Ultimately, happiness is a deeply personal journey. It requires honesty, self reflection, and the courage to make changes when necessary. No one else can define happiness for you, and no one else can give it to you. It's something you have to discover for yourself. So, the next time you look in the mirror, take a moment to ask yourself if you're truly happy. If the answer is no, start thinking about what you can do to change that. Your happiness is worth it. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.